Welcome back everyone to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about kind of just in general, is the game fun or not? Now, I've had to record this entire video because of some errors, so I'm probably going to be repeating myself, but I'll try my best. So, is the game fun for you guys? You guys can have your reasons for it, just let me know down in the comments what you think about it, but I'm going to be explaining to you guys kind of everything of why I enjoy the game and why I don't. Because it's more complicated than just a simple yes or no answer. Because like with anything, you can have fun in games. I mean, you know, that's kind of why we play them to begin with, right? Is because we want to have fun in the games. And World of Tanks specifically, I don't know why a lot of players play it, to be honest, other than, you know, the theory of just tanks and stuff like that. But, you know, there are better games out there, like, anything's better than playing World of Tanks at this point, to be honest. Which, again, I'm sorry, guys. Which is what I'm going to be explaining later in this video. So, I've got 3 replays. The first replay, the audio works, but the last 2, I'm not sure why. So you're just going to be hearing my voice through it. But anyway, all of them are in the Cromwell, by the way, which I'm close to 3 marking. So, I'll give you some of the reasons why I do enjoy the game first. So, the first reason is because the main reason I play the game is to have close battles and to have kind of that adrenaline, you know, to be like a 1 versus 2 or whatever, to where it forces me to think. I like those kind of situations. I don't like the boring 15-3 or 3-15 or, you know, whatever it may be. And, you know, for me, just funny moments to where, you know, you cliff dive someone, or you roll over someone, or you blind fire them, whatever it may be. You know, those are some of the funny moments, which, you know, a lot of other YouTubers make those, like RTS Shotgun is one of my favorite ones. He's a Russian one. You know, there's a bunch of other ones. Amo Clan, he makes some good ones. He's an American one. Zekin 60 FPS, he's alright as well. He makes those kind of videos. You know, those funny moments and stuff like that, and just having in general close battles to where, you know, you put up a good fight and you've done everything you possibly can. You've learned from your mistakes in the past, or you know, it gets you thinking. Those are the battles I enjoy. Like these 3 battles here, that's pretty much what they are. And also I play for marks of excellence as well, because one of my main goals in this game is to try to get every single tank possible that I own to get to the highest mark possible that I can, and leave it at that. And I know I can do it. Like I said, I haven't had many 3 mark. I only have 1 3 mark right now, and I'm hoping that the Cromwell is going to be my second, which is why I've played it so very harshly. I've been pretty harsh on myself recently for mistakes, you know, stuff like that. But like I said, I do enjoy some of these maps as well, like Highway and Provki and Mali. Are all my favorite maps, are some of them anyway. Studzianki I like as well. Not a great map for positioning wise, but I just kind of like the layout it has and just kind of the environment as well. So yeah, you know, just being able to push myself to the farthest I can, and being able to, you know, get that adrenaline rushing and get to where I have to think. That's what I enjoy in this game the most. And and of course the typical trolls, or the people who are funny. You know, if they yellow someone and ram kill them, or, you know, whatever it may be. But honestly, I don't really see any other reason to play this game. Like, especially if you're a new player, there's no reason for you to be trying to play this game, because it's not worth it, and neither is spending money in this game either. So now, kind of the boring stuff, I'm going to be nagging Wargaming a lot of this. I doubt they ever watch this video, but, you know, if they do, then Wargaming, this is just me giving you my honest opinion, and whoever else is curious about it, of what a player like me would think about it. I am an above average player. I believe average players with WTR, I believe it's between 4K and 4700 is what I was told, and I'm a 5700 rating player. So I'm not bad, but I'm not that good either, if that makes any sense. Um, as a mediocre player is what I'm going to call myself. I'd say that there's a lot of stuff that is wrong with the game. For example, plus and minus 25% RNG. So if you have, let's say, if you have 350 alpha, then that means you have a 25% chance of getting a low roll. So that means if you take 25 of whatever 350 is, and you subtract it, then that's the lowest amount that you can low roll. And same thing if you add it. You know, I feel like that's not bad at all, but when it comes to penetration, I think it's stupid, because let's say if you have armor that has 180 millimeters of pen, and you're facing a tank side on that has 180 millimeters of side armor. If you shoot it straight deadly on, I think that it should go pretty much right through. But if you're angling a little bit, like if it's at a 30-degree angle, then maybe, or more, then I should say that it has a 50-50 chance of going through, because it's the exact same. And I can understand why Wargaming added that RNGs just for that randomness to see if it goes through or not, but I think plus and minus 25% specifically for penetration, I think that's too much, because like I said in my 268 video, it has 390 millimeters of P-pen. That means it can low roll up to 320 millimeters of pen, which means that if you shoot the side of an E100 or its cheek, that means it may not go through, despite your average penetration being 390, which is kind of just stupid in my opinion. I mean, a total of 50%, you know, RNG chance, that is just stupid in my opinion. I mean, that is just, you know, there's no way that a gun that has 390 millimeters of pen isn't going to go through something that has, let's say, 350 or 340, you know, like a cheek 7100 or something, you know? I mean, to me, that's just unrealistic, but I can, like I said, I can understand why Wargaming does that. It's just mainly for the randomness, but I feel like it should be plus and minus 10%, personally. I think that's a fair bet. At least for penetration. But alpha-wise, you know, I don't mind alpha so much, but it is kind of annoying if you low roll and they have like 1 hit point left and they kill you and you end up losing the battle. That is frustrating, but again, it's that kind of adrenaline that gets me thinking. That's what helps me realize my mistakes of what I possibly could have done better in the game, which I do like about that. And also, I do like it because, let's say you have a 750 alpha gun and you know, and you high roll someone for 900, and I think the highest you can high roll is like 927 or something, 923, I don't know. I do like that. I do enjoy that. Like I said, it's a mixed feeling, but I feel like overall the game needs to be changed. Like, instead of like take an EBR for example, you have the wheels on it, which kind of act as space armor. They block heat shells. Theoretically, that would go right through and be able to go through the armor, I believe. Realistically, but if it acts like spaced armor, then, you know, obviously it's understandable why you can bounce EBRs with heat shells. You know, kind of like the same thing with the 277 or the IS-7. If you shoot heat at its side, spaced armor catches it and it doesn't go all the way through the armor. It's completely understandable. But with EBR specifically, I feel like that shouldn't be the case. Another thing too is that overall the meta is just really, really boring for me. And it's all about the hold down heavy tanks that have the good gun depression and that have auto loaders, you know, or burst damage, you know, like the VZ55 that they recently added, or the Cromwell, probably the best example. And, you know, pretty much all the heavies now are a pull down, except for tanks like the E100, you know, that have weak cheeks for the mouths. Those are a little bit different, a little bit harder to play. But I think that it's just boring overall, you know. Same thing with the mediums, the 140, the T62A, whatever. They're all hold down tanks, you know, because the weak poles, good turrets. It's really boring now. But some of the metas that I do like differently, like the ones that I actually do enjoy, would be something like, oh, by the way, here's a spoiler for what we're going to see. We're going to see it twice because, you know, yeah, like I said, games like this where I get ace tankers and I carry games like that, that's what I enjoy, is where I have to get thinking. But, I don't know, it's just, it's really, really weird. And here's the battle that we just saw those barrel rolls in. I don't know why I put it in there twice, but I did, so deal with it. So, like I said, the meta in general is just kind of boring. But like I said, the things I do like about some of the non-meta tanks, like take the hold down 703 for example. Kind of a weak lower plate, does have kind of troll upper and lower plate though, and its hull on the front. Sides, it can be very troll as well. If you over angle it, you do get penned with heat because it doesn't have spaced armor on the side. So yeah, like that I like because it's not broken like the Kron is tier for tier. Because you have to think a little bit more. You have to be more on flat ground. But also is that you have two guns over one. Pretty much all tanks have one gun except for 4 tanks in the game, which is the double barrels, which would be the 2 tier 8s, which is the IS-22, the tech tree, and then the premium, the Object 703 version 2, tier 9, the IS-32, and then tier 10, the ST2. I like those because they're more flexible with DPM, and because you can play them like an auto reloader to where whenever you have a shot available, you fire it regardless of where your second barrel is loaded or not. Or you can play it to where, you play like a normal tank where you fire one shell and then you wait till both barrels are loaded and then you fire again. Or you can just spam salvos and do that funny burst damage that the double barrels are usually known for. Stuff like that I like, something different. Or take the CS63 for example, or is it the CS65? I don't know what the tier 10 is, but I know that has 2 different engine modes, where it has a medium mode where it can act like a normal medium tank, and then it has a light tank mode to where it has a weakness to where if you go into the light tank mode for a long period of time, then it kind of damages the engine, it slows you down. That I like to where it's balanced. It's not, I don't know if the CS is good or bad or not. Like I said, I don't really know anything about it, but I do know that engine mode is just a different category overall. Also, another huge thing, light tanks with autoloaders. Back in the day, the T-37, the Bulldog, and I don't know what other ones had autoloaders, but the lower tier or light tanks I know used to have autoloaders, and they were broken, and a lot of people hated them, which is why they removed them in the first place. So I think that maybe something like that at tier 10 would be good. Like if you gave the non-derp gun on the Sheridan, like I think it's the 128 or the 122 millimeter, something like that. If you gave that 400 alpha gun, maybe an autoloader, 3 or 4 shell, something a little bit different. Then the Sheridan also has spaced armor on its hull, except for the rear and the turret. Something different like that, I think that would be pretty cool because all the light tanks are pretty boring. They do 1 shot of damage. 390, I think the EBR has, and I think I think it's 420 or 450 or something like that for the Mana Core. And the TL100 LT, obviously, I think it's like 350 or something. And I feel like that. Like I said, with light tanks in tier 10 specifically, and just in general, it's all one shot. I don't think I remember. I don't know if there is any auto-loading light tanks other than the T71DI, I believe it is the collector light tank in tier 7. I think that's the only light tank that actually has an auto-loader that I know of in the game, at least kind of in the mid to higher tiers. And for me, I think just in general having more category is the better. Recently they added in the M4 Yo, the premium tier 8 American tank. Troll turret all around, but kind of a soft hull everywhere. Well, actually the front of the hull is actually really troll, but also it has those back tracks too. So it has 2 tracks. So it has a tiny track at the back inside the main track. Something like that I think is interesting, and it's actually pretty cool. Another thing too is if we added maybe, let me think, the medium tanks we have that are autoloaders is the TVP, obviously, the tier 10 one that has that crazy burst damage. And then, shoot, I don't really know any other mediums that have autoloaders like that. We do have heavies that play kind of like mediums, like the 50B, the AMX 50B, stuff like that, but I feel that we need kind of more, like, lightly armored vehicles to have autoloaders, I feel, because, the T-57, the AMX 50B, the Kronwagen, all of those have autoloaders in their tier 8, or their tier 10 heavies. Speaking of autoloaders, they're supposed to be adding in the regular Object 279 into the game, and if you know what the 279E is, then yes, the regular 279 is supposed to, I'm not sure if it's going to be a clan reward tank or what, but it's supposed to be even more broken than the 279E, and in real life, the 279 is an autoloader, And from what I've been told, the 279 when it comes into the game is also supposed to be an autoloader. So I feel that, you know, I feel that maybe they should buff artillery because of that, or just, you know, make the regular 279 a little bit weaker than what it is in real life, because it's gonna be even more broken than the Chieftain in my opinion, because it's 350 millimeters of sloped armor all around the tank, because it doesn't have a it's shaped more like a boat. It doesn't really have kind of a lower plate ish, if that makes any sense. It's a little bit higher. It's not nearly as because it's straight down, kind of like an angle on the 279E. To where the regular 279, it doesn't have that lower part there where it covers the tracks. It's just completely shaped like a boat, and I think that tank's going to be impossible to kill if you're facing it head on. But like I said, that kind of meta, I think it's just boring. They added the VZ55, which has that big burst damage. It's an autoloader, tier 10 autoloader. It's just very boring for me, and I wish that they would do something different. Like I said, if they added light tanks with autoloaders, whatever. I mean, or maybe if they added it to where, if they added different game modes, maybe more often, where they had them around regularly. Like if you could play in the snow, where it was snowing, and it affected your camo or whatever, like as a game mode. But if they wanted to implement that into the game normally, then maybe they could have it to where it is snowing and where it's at nighttime, but it doesn't affect your overall game performance. I think that would be really cool. I think that would bring a lot more attention to the game, and especially for players who haven't played in a while. But it definitely would bring in new players. But again, for you new players out there, or if you don't play a lot that often, anyways, it's not really worth spending the time as a brand new player to get these tanks and whatever, because I don't see this game lasting another 5 years. If you don't think you're gonna be playing this game in the next 5 years, don't buy it. That's what I do. Like with Farm Sim, if I know that I'm not gonna be playing it that often, or if I know that I'm not gonna be just in general playing the game, then I'm not gonna buy anything in it, because it's not worth it. Or even buy the game, if it costs money. Like a Call of Duty or whatever. Although Call of Duty I probably would play, but that I'm just using as an example. So with that being said, it's kind of the more pay-to-win aspect of it too. Is the whole, with the meta. I feel that it's not worth spending money in this game for a few reasons. One, the game's, like I said just now, the game I don't see lasting another 5 to 10 plus years, as it already has. But the only reason I think that it would is because the newer players are just going to spend all their money to try to get the new tanks or whatever, and they're going to fall for Wargaming's trick. But what Wargaming wants is they want you to buy every single tank that you can get your hands on, that you can afford. Obviously, that's broken. They do it. Here's the thing: if Wargaming can advertise a tank extremely well and make these high definition videos and whatever, then they can freaking change the game and make it more balanced. So for Wargaming, I don't see any excuse in there to not be, to not fix what is currently wrong with the game, and which I'm about to explain. The matchmaking specifically is kind of just terrible. If you're a stock IS-3, the IS-3 is one of the worst tanks you can play stock in Tier 8. It's one of the worst tanks in general in Tier 8. It's, especially if it's stock and you have to go against Tier 10s, you're not going to stand a chance. Even if it's fully upgraded, you might, but even then, it's still not going to be worth anything. And I feel like Wargaming need to fix that. I feel like you need to have a certain amount of battles. Like, let's say if you have at least, maybe by your 75th game in the tank, maybe then you start seeing Tier 10s. But Tier 9s wouldn't be bad at all, I don't think. I think that's fair if you fight Tier 9s in a Tier A heavy as stock. I think that's fairly okay. But like I said, plus 2 matchmaking, I think needs to be fixed a little bit. But which brings me to my next point. I think that as well, that that the way that the matchmaking works in general needs to be fixed, because I believe it's based off of your tank name, I believe, and your tier, and I think that's it. I think Wargaming needs to base it off of your WTR, your World of Tanks rating, which I said mine's 5,700 for my recents. And then my WN8 for recents is, I believe, like around 2K, 2.5K-ish. and I think that Wargaming needs to base it off of that instead. So let's say that, just for an example, let's say if you have 3 versus 3. Let's say that two people have 3K, or let's say that a team has all 3K WTR, and then another team has 5K, and the other one has 2K, and then the last player has 2 or 3K, whatever, if I'm doing my math right. That kind of, even though the players are different, but at least in general, in total, the um, the you know the player base is skill wise is the same. Because I think it would be fair if you had a really good player in a lower tier versus two really bad players at higher tiers. I think that's fair, because the good player knows what they're doing, and it's a 50-50 chance. And also too, I think Wargaming also does it based off of hit points. I believe too, as you can see in the top, it shows the hit points. I think besides just the tanks alone, I also think that it's based off of hit points. I could be wrong, but I'm just going to take it that because both of the teams are very close. I've rarely seen a team that has more than 1,000 hit points tank wise. At the beginning of the game, I do see the 800s and 900s sometimes, but usually it's like maybe a 200, 300 hit point difference, from what I can from what I've seen. Excuse me. And also another thing too, kind of like how earlier I mentioned, how EBRs their wheels kind of almost act as spaced armor. I feel like they need to nerf some tanks as well. Maybe if they didn't make the Kronbogen so impossible to pen frontally when it's hull down, because even the 268, the regular 268, and the Yak Panzer E100, even they sometimes struggle to go through the turret despite them having 400 around plus heat pen. I feel like tanks, the biggest guns in the game, should be able to pen its turret. Same thing with the 183. If the 183 uses an AP shell, which only has like almost half the alpha as the Hess shell, then I think it should be able to go through the Kron's turret. With gold, obviously, it has to come with a price, which is to make it balanced. But I feel like tanks like that need to be fixed. The Chieftain, though, doesn't need to be, because it's a reward tank. Same thing with the 279E and the 279 when the 279 comes into the game. I completely understand that. The 260 as well. Those are different stories, because players earn their regardless of how they got it or not. They still got it, and whether that's they paid a lot of money for someone to grind it for them, or if they're getting their money's worth, or they're getting their time spent worth. Because most good players, or players that have those, are usually good players, and they work their way for that. So that I think tanks like that don't need to be nerfed. Maybe the Chieftain, because of some things of how, because I know like some people rig it like to where like a good clan will let one of their a really bad player in, and they'll win a Chieftain or whatever because they win clan wars or whatever. But still, I feel like overall that kind of stuff is balanced, because they've earned that, or they got their money's worth if they paid someone to do it for them for those missions. And like I said, I think that just kind of rebalancing things need to happen. I don't think I think tier 10's a little bit boring, to be honest with you. If they if they added, maybe if they gave the Sheared, or maybe even the TL100LT an autoloader that had like 3 shells, does 350 a shot average, and then had like a 15 or 20, or had like a 20-second reload or something like that. Totally fine, because it brings different opportunities, and it allows people to think more and make learn from their mistakes. And I feel like that's why autoloaders specifically are harder to play in general, as you all know. But I feel like it adds more competition, and it adds more opportunities for both sides of the team. Because if that autoloader makes a mistake, then that gives the enemy a disadvantage, obviously. Or if the autoloader plays really well, then it gives your team an advantage. If they know what they're doing. But like I said, I think that overall the game definitely needs changing. Like I said, I don't see it lasting a ton longer, but because of Wargaming's scheme, to where, like I said, to where they make you, say that you need to have this tank, or that you should buy this, or blah 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 blah, or gamble on loot boxes or whatever it is, um, I feel that people will fall for that, as I always have, and by the time you realize that you've already spent so much money, that you know, it's just like, you know, you spent so much money at this time to where you feel that, you know, you can't really leave the game at this point, and that you have to, you know, you either keep spending like you have been, or in my opinion, you should just stop entirely. You should just stop spending money on the game, because, like I said, I don't think it's worth it, and I think a lot of people will agree with me on that. I could see it being worth it if Wargaming changed things in the game, like if they fix everything that I've mentioned, and a few other things as well. I feel like it would be worth it then, because then you're getting your money's worth. Because again, a lot of it is just temporary satisfaction. That's all it is. It's that, you know, because you always want to buy something new, kind of thing. It's always that human instinct, you know, and it's always that temporary satisfaction that gets people. You know, with spending money. If they have a lot of money, then they just like, okay, I'm gonna buy this, whatever. I have the money for it. I think a lot of people need to start thinking about that kind of thing, especially in a video game where it's all pixels. Like I said, at the end of the day, it's all pixels. And I know that the game is kind of hard to program and stuff like that, because I took a programming class, and I can tell you, programming is not easy. That's why they make $200 grand a year, is what my teacher told me. And despite all their hard work and stuff, and despite them being a company, you know, they have to make money, obviously. I feel like there's definitely better ways to do it. I feel like that they would get more attention, and that they would get more, you know, that they would get more money by actually just, in general, fixing what the good players are suggesting, because then that'll bring in some of the older players, that used to pay to win, and it'll bring even newer players to the game, that it'll be worth spending, that money will be more valuable when they spend it, you know, on Wargaming's website or whatever it may be. And yeah, it's, like I said, guys, it's hard to explain, and yeah, it's just all kind of complicated, but I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to let you guys enjoy the rest of this video. Again, I apologize that it didn't, that the audio got messed up on these last 2 replays, but there's really nothing I can do about that. I did change my settings, and yeah, hopefully that fixes it. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about this. Like, do you guys really think that this is a problem? Do you agree or disagree with me? Am I just speaking nonsense? Or do you guys actually genuinely think that what Wargaming is doing with their money plans is just dirty, and it's just a sick scheme to me, is what it looks like. Excuse me. But with that being said, like I said, these battles, like I said, I showed because I enjoyed them, and because they, you know, these are the kind of battles I play for, or that I play the game for, is you know, you have to think, you have to make right choices, and that you learn from your mistakes. Like I said, I'm slowly becoming better at the game, and like I said, as long as I'm improving, I'm learning from my mistakes, and I have intense battles like that, and I have it to where, you know, there's funny moments where if you ram kill someone. I actually ram killed a light tank in this thing full health, and I hardly lost anything in this tank, hardly any HP, and it was kind of funny. Like I said, that's kind of mainly the only reason I actually play this game anymore. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna shut up now and let you enjoy. Let me know what you guys think about this, as I said. And yeah, I hope you guys are having a great day.